Bitcoin recently surpassed $100,000 for the first time, reaching a high of nearly $104,000 before experiencing a pullback. Anthony Scaramucci, founder of Skybridge Capital, emphasizes Bitcoin's volatility and recommends holding it for at least 4 years. He views this milestone as significant, indicating Bitcoin's readiness for institutional investing. While he expects to continue volatility, he suggests there's now a floor of support due to cash ETF approvals and increased Wall Street interest.
People, if you're going to buy Bitcoin, you got to hold it for a 4-year period of time. Any rolling 4-year period, you do well, but at any given moment, you've had big drawdowns, and Bitcoin has drawn down. I think its most recent and most terrible drawdown was 82%. And so, if you were interviewing me, Josh, in December of 2022, I was having a very rough time. I think Bitcoin was 16 or 17,000. And a lot of people thought that we had made a bad investment in Bitcoin. And so we were dunces 2 years ago, we're geniuses today. So I would just caution people not to put too much money into Bitcoin, in the sense that they've got to be careful about its volatility. Now, if you're somebody like me, I have a lot of my personal net worth in Bitcoin because I'm not looking at it and not tracking it day to day. But this milestone is important because I think it tells people that Bitcoin's probably ready now for prime time institutional investing. And frankly, this milestone should have happened 2+ years ago when the futures ETF was approved in November of 21. It would have been appropriate to have approved the cash or spot Bitcoin ETF right after that. But Gary Gensler decided not to do that. He went on to lose a lawsuit resulting in the success of the January BlackRock, Fidelity, and others Bitcoin ETF. But this should have happened a couple of years ago, frankly, but for the regulation.
Hey, Anthony, it's Julie here. We just talked earlier in the hour to Michael Saylor, who, as you know, is sitting pretty on top of a pretty substantial mountain of Bitcoin at this point. And we talked to him about those 4-year cycles as well. Another guy who watches crypto closely, Gautam Chugani over at Bernstein, is looking at potential 250,000 by the end of next year and looking at those 4-year cycles. But do you think that the cycles will be more muted? In other words, do you think we could see another 80% drawdown, or do you think those kinds of declines are in the past?
Well, first of all, Julie, it's good to see you. I've been humbled by life and markets, so I will tell you that anything is possible. I do think, however, that there's a floor of support for Bitcoin now. With the approval of these cash ETFs and with legions of Wall Street people out there selling the idea of having Bitcoin in your portfolio, I do think that there is a floor of support. That's not to say that there won't be aggressive corrections in Bitcoin. But if you believe, like I do, and Michael Saylor believes, that this is an asset class, it just isn't another investment story like a stock, but it's actually an asset class, then Bitcoin should trade to the market capitalization of gold, which is roughly 10x where Bitcoin is today. And so if you don't mind, I'm just quickly, I wrote a book with Michael called The Little Book of Bitcoin. It's out today.
That's what we call a shameless plug, Anthony.
A shameless plug.
But we'll allow it.
All right, but Michael said something to me, that I think you'll enjoy. He said, you wrote a great book, and I'm willing to endorse it, but you are too small in your asset allocation recommendation. What do you mean, Michael? I'm telling people to own 2%. And of course, Michael has 100+% of his net worth in Bitcoin. And the point being is that if this is your best idea, and it clearly is my best idea, I probably don't have 50 other ideas like this. And so I do think people should own Bitcoin and have it in their portfolios.